playing the best bumper music in podcasts today. This is the Amazing Outdoors podcast, and I am Brian Mays. Thank you all for tuning in today. This is episode number 42, Steelhead Outdoors. Thank you, Charlie and Corey, for inviting me out to the shop. We had a couple beers and definitely got into a little bit of bullshitting. So enjoy today's show. But before we do that, I've been super busy and I've got some house cleaning. All right, folks, we have a number of house cleaning items here. I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, but I had to compile them on a couple sheets of my notebook here. So I normally do these things fairly well unscripted. Today, I have a few more bullet points than normal, so bear with me. The biggest change that you all are going to see is probably some ads placed into the podcast, and specifically a mid-show ad. Starting today on this show, moving forward, we will kind of edit for that, so you'll hear me cut out. I'll explain ad coming, whatever. There might be some ads placed in front of the show. This is all because I joined the Waypoint Outdoor Collective. It is a network of podcasts, and they offered me a new hosting platform, which brings a lot of features that I did not have from the previous hosting platform I was using. So bear with me as you kind of absorb into their platform. Double check your subscriptions. Something wonky might have happened if you had us on auto download. Oftentimes when these switches happen, that auto download feature is not enabled anymore. One more thing I will note with that: if you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet and you're listening, what the hell are you doing? Because I got a lot of content coming. I'm typically running 2 to 3 shows ahead of time, and you don't want to miss. Just looking at my notes here, I don't think I missed anything on Waypoint, and I'm super excited to be part of Waypoint. It is a great opportunity for the show. Next page. I haven't quite ran the numbers, but at the current rate we are going, I think it's okay with me saying that March will be the first month I can officially say thank you to the patrons. You are the largest sponsor of this program. Give a quick shout out to Paul and Todd, who joined on between now and our last transmission. Thank you very much for becoming patrons. I want to explain real quick to all of you who have not become a patron, and if you have not gone and looked, the information's in the show notes. 2 ways to get there. You can see all of our content. Not everything is up on Patreon that I'd like. Still trying to get more there, but the more people that are there, the more time I have to spend there. Please consider it. It's $5 a month. It's almost cheaper than a gallon of diesel where I'm at. It's super cheap, $5 a month. The big draw is I'm trying to get 10 people so I can fund partially, because I'm going to kick in the rest of the money, to buy a pair of Uplnd Outfitter pants from Jason. Jason's not donating these Uplnd Outfitter. This is me giving back to my listeners and the people who support this show. I will give away a pair of pants midsummer when we get 10 patrons. Now, if we get 20 patrons between now and then, I'll give away 2 pairs of pants. Get on board. Every month that you're a patron, you'll get entered into the drawing for our first giveaway. Once we get 10 to 20 people, about once every month or 2, and again, more people, the better, bigger, badder, we can make this thing. I want to be able to give things away to you guys. I want to have a more intimate relationship with the listener base. Patreon is going to be a way to do that. $5 a month. There's some really cool things I've got whiteboarded about giving away trips, having a patron day where maybe I take 2 of you out fishing. I would love to host a quail camp down in Kansas. Would love to have people up to hunt woodcock up by me. A lot of things we can do. Links below. Become one of the sponsors of this program. So I mentioned Uplnd Outfitters. Uplnd Outfitters has been with the show fairly early. It was our first sponsor, and I have had 93 days in the field with those pants. They have held up way beyond my expectations. The value is totally there, no doubt. You need to check these pants out. Head on over to uplandoutfitters.com. Use the discount code AMAZIN, 20% off. Discount code AMAZIN, 20% off. That's AMAAZEN, 20% off. It's a great deal. You really, really need these pants. I'm telling you, as a grouse hunter and a woodcock hunter, I did not think they would withstand the briars up here. They held up way beyond what I believed. If you're in the market for a new pair of pants, check them out. Lastly, Sport Dog. I ran the Tech 2.0 this year. It was a great system. I really, really like it. I had a Garmin Alpha prior to that, I was able to get more details in areas that I did not believe I needed to track metrics on my dogs. I found that there was a ton of information very easily accessible from the remote. The only drawback, I guess, is I don't utilize everything as a upland hunter who has, I would consider, close ranging dogs, I guess you could say. I think if I was a hound hunter or maybe somebody running field trial dogs, be definitely more utilized than myself. But what's very cool and what I'm going to check out this year, and I think everybody who's in the market for a GPS collar or maybe is kind of considering they may or may not need this feature, you should check out the 1.5. It's a scaled down version, and it gives you really what I need is in thick cover. How far is my dog out? Well, it gives you those features. I think it lacks in the mapping system, so if you don't need the mapping system, a lot of people are carrying around Onyx today, and I found myself switching between the two a lot. And that's where I started to think, well, maybe I should consider looking at the 1.5. So it's something I'm going to dive into. I had Clay Thompson on from Sport Dog on episode 37. So again, if you're in the market, check that episode out. I'm going to try to hook up with Clay here soon, get him back on, because there's a few things now after the whole season of running these collars that I would like to talk about. And I'd like to talk about some of the other training collars, because I've got a few things around the house I want to work on, and I really don't want a big GPS collar hanging off my dog here. So I'm going to try to get Clay back on. So subscribe to the podcast. If you're not subscribing now, there's going to be some more stuff with Sport Dog hopefully here soon. This has probably been my longest intro, so I really apologize. I don't ever intend for these things to get this long, but I had a lot of information that I needed to push out to all of you. I need to kind of flip my page here just to double check I got everything. Okay, episode 37, Sport Dog, check that out. Uplnd Outfitters. We joined Waypoint. You can find us on Waypoint. If you're subscribed to the podcast on some of these odd podcast players, you might need to come over to Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google. You can find us on Waypoint. You can get new episodes on my website. There are other ways to consume this podcast than some of these smaller odd players. If anything in the Apple network, you're fine. But I know there's a gazillion podcast players out there, and the switch, something might have happened. So just double check your subscription to this show and the downloads. Leave us a review, become a patron. On with the show. Episode 42, Steelhead Outdoors. Charlie and Corey, the founders, invited me out to the shop, showed me the product. We sat down, had a couple Coors Lights. Most of all, thank you for supporting this podcast. This is Brian Mays with the Uplnd Outdoors podcast. I am in a shop not too far from a nice lake here in the South Metro of the Twin Cities, Prior Lake. I got two gentlemen here with Steelhead Outdoors. Corey and Charlie, welcome to the Uplnd Outdoors podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys making some room for me and a nice makeshift table here in the shop, man.
Right.
Well, we'll get into a little bit of this, and kind of Steelhead Outdoor stuff in a little bit, but the gist of it is you guys are a small safe manufacturer here. The Twin Cities of Minnesota. You guys are 3 guys?
Yeah, 4. We have a couple contractors.
Yep.
Maybe 6 total. Yeah. Real small.
Yeah. Well, and it was one of the attractions. I personally am a big American-made guy. I like supporting American-made products. I like supporting small businesses. And I like supporting people who have really cool and innovative products. And that you guys have. So we'll get into a little bit of what makes your products very unique and kind of the characteristics that I really enjoyed and why I wanted to be here today. And I really appreciate you guys making me welcome. The Coors Light is the right temperature. It's after hours here this evening. So, Charlie, why don't you kind of give the audience a little bit of your background, and then Corey kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just, you guys are engineers by trade, but you kind of started this. But yeah, let's dive into a little bit of your hunting background.
Yeah,
or fishing, whatever you want to touch.
Yeah, I've born and raised in Minnesota, hunted and fished quite a bit with my deceased grandpa.
Is he who got you into the outdoors?
He is my dad and my grandpa, and really my grandpa got my dad into it, and kind of that's where it all started. A lot of fishing trips. A lot of hunting trips, local and out to Montana, that kind of stuff, and just the respect for the outdoors and just learning everything.
Elk hunting out in Montana?
No, we did little mule deer hunting out there, but
right
yeah, it was fun. A lot of it was the adventure getting there.
It always is with an out-of-state hunt.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and just those are really cool memories that we'll always have. Started hunting when I was 12. Not every year is a success, but we're out there, and rain, snow, shine, everything in between. We're there.
Shotgun or rifle country here in Minnesota, where you hunt?
So I used to be down in southern Minnesota doing shotgun. And now we're up at my cousin's place up in Royalton, Minnesota, doing some rifle hunting. So.
North Central, right?
Yeah. North from here. So.
Yeah. There's some good smallie fishing up that way. Yeah, on the Mississippi up there.
Yeah.
I've floated through that area a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a big, it's up by Fort, what's the Army base up there?
Ripley.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's another one that starts with an R that I'm thinking of. But regardless, yeah, that's a nice area. There's some big deer that are shot up there. Kind of sandy soil. It's a lot of potatoes, if I recall, growing up that way.
It's been interesting up there, yeah. It's it took us quite a few years, my dad and I now, to figure out the lay of the land. And
it's a little different than hunting corn-fed deer down south.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you hunt down in southeast at all, or
Sleepy Eye, Minnesota?
Sure. Yeah, a little more flat country.
Yeah.
So it's similar in topography but different crop mix and
absolutely.
Yeah, I've never hunted in potatoes and that kind of stuff around there.
Mostly corn.
Is it right?
We've been at, yeah.
That's nice.
So yeah, but it's worked out.
Yeah.
So
how is it different? How was it different to come from southern Minnesota up there? Like, what was the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge for me, just as a younger hunter, was okay. Now I got a scope, so I'm getting up in the stand. It's more sitting, staying tight, making it happen. When we were down in Sleepy Eye, it was, a lot of times we didn't even set up a stand. It was
just
shotgun.
push.
Yeah, you'd hold tight for the morning, and you do the midday push, and it was just different style, but it was different people too. Where now it's a little bit more independent, but same but different, and it's fun. And
I think the whole driving deer game it's subsided a little bit from hunting culture. There's people that still do a ton of it, but it's not as prevalent, I think, as it, at least when I grew up. Like, same thing, but we hunted over in eastern Wisconsin, but 9:00 opening day, it was like, all right, let's go move some deer. And now I haven't done a deer drive in Wisconsin in 8-9 years. I'll go for a walk. Somebody might be on the other end of the 80 acres, and you hope you kick them something, but it's not really a deer drive.
Setting up Minnesota deer camp too has been, that's just part of who we are. It's just culture, so when COVID came too, it's like, well, we're still going hunting. We're sitting in a tree by ourselves. It's okay, but that the deer camp, we'll say, was different, and it really took a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah, a couple bird camps were very different over the last couple of years. I did not attend my normal grouse camp this year just because of it didn't have anything to do necessarily with COVID from what I was told, and I still don't really necessarily believe it did, but just dynamics of now all of a sudden people are more concerned with there being 7, 8 people in the house instead of 5,
Right.
Well, I happened to be the 6th or 7th guy, so I got shortlisted, but it is what it is. It's forced me to go out and do different things. That's what I always, I'm kind of an eternal optimist in situations like that. I've been driven out of, we're talking about certain spots where I go fish, and I've been driven out of many other spots. And the whole reason I got spots that I like to go fish now is because I've been driven out of other spots and I had to find new spots. So, just a different deck of cards to deal with now.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Corey? What's your background? Were you born and raised here in Minnesota too, I think you said?
Yep. So originally from the Mankato area.
Yeah. Minnesota River Valley kid.
Yep. So grew up hunting down there with my grandpa, similar to Charlie, except my dad never took up hunting. He was always kind of a hot rod guy.
Sure.
Always thought it was a waste of time to be sitting in the woods when you could be working on a project. So I became my grandpa's hunting buddy because of that. So it's kind of like.
You start at 12?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of perfect timing because I was 12 and my grandpa was recently retired, but he was in really good shape for a retired guy. So we just went on a ton of trips. We would go after Christmas break. We'd go on an ice fishing trip.
Those retired guys are my favorite.
They have the money to spend.
Well, and they can fish or hunt Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yep.
And that's really important.
And we would go in the summer. We would go prairie dog shooting.
Really?
Fishing. And then in the winter, we'd go fishing.
Where do you go out South Dakota?
Yep.
Yeah.
South Dakota, yep.
I've never done that.
It is a very different experience than big game hunting, but I always tell people if you want to sharpen up your rifle shooting, you probably shoot more rounds in one weekend of dog shooting than you would.
That's the whole reason I haven't gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ammo's hard enough to come by.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't shoot clays or anything really this past season because I couldn't get the stuff I wanted for hunting, let alone didn't have any extra really to spare. I shot my first round of sporting clays in January before I went down to Kansas this past month. That was first time in probably 2 years.
It's tough sledding. I've been on a lot of primer wait lists trying to get primers. That's what my grandpa taught me how to handle because you kind of have to if you're dog shooting.
We might be chatting a little bit afterwards because that's definitely, now that I built the shop up north, I got more bench space now. Yeah, I was always if I'm going to get into it, man, I don't want to have to set this stuff up and then do what I need and then tear it down because I need to multi-task or multi-use the space. Like if I'm going to do it, I need to have the space to just set the stages up and just leave them. But yeah, so what's your fancy with hunting? What'd your grandpa really like to do?
He loved trips. I think he liked the trips more than the hunting. He'd go caribou hunting,
road trips,
Canada. Yeah, he would go elk hunting, Colorado, Montana, New Mexico, Arizona. We went deer hunting. Started elk hunting with him when he was on his twilight years. When I was old enough to afford it.
Did you guys kill one together?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Great memory, man.
Yep. It was his last trip. We shot a cow.
Nice.
Yep. It was great.
A rifle?
Yep.
Yeah. You ever done the bow hunting?
No, I'm embarrassed to me. I've never shot a bow since Boy Scout camp. Went
really?
To recurve, yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I have a bow.
Okay. I get one normal guy here.
Well,
Give me crap.
Yeah, no.
I love the bow hunt, but the only reason I really, really enjoy it is because where Wisconsin bow hunt falls is right when you guys start cracking firearms off. And I've been a Minnesota resident now for, I even hate to admit this, but I think it's 11 years. And I've bought one deer tag in Minnesota, and it was a leftover muzzleloader tag last season, and I never went. I bought one of the combined licenses where you can get the spouse gets like the small game, you get the fishing, and they give you a deer tag. And so I called that up when I'm like, the weather was nice and maybe I can get out. And I drove out scouting one day and it was about, I was down by like a Northfield area, and I was scouting, and no deer. And then I get 2 miles from Northfield, and there's 50 of them in a flipping field, and I'm going, yeah, no, I'm not going to knock on any doors for a late season deer. I'm good. I'm going to pack the season up. And I got into bird hunting, so it's been this big struggle for me with deer hunting, because every time I go deer hunting, I'm like, yep, got to go kill me a deer. And now it's just more of the task of putting some meat in the freezer for me. I used to sit in the tree and just burn out for 2 weeks during the rut, bow hunt for horns, and I still find myself doing it for a much smaller window now, but I get in that damn tree and all I think about is my dogs, going, it's grouse hunting. I got to go kill me some grouse. Like, my dogs are sitting at home pissed at me because I'm out deer hunting. So, yeah, it's a struggle every fall. I'm lucky. I told you guys I'm an empty nester. You guys, young guys with kids, you don't understand this yet. You will. I married into this life, and I did it by choice, and it's at least paying some dividends now at 38. I love my wife. It's Valentine's Day yesterday. Did you guys get in the doghouse at all?
You know, actually, I hate to admit this, but my wife actually cooked some pretty awesome dinner.
Yeah?
I think it's supposed to be the other way around, though, for Valentine's Day, right?
Well, it
supposed to cook.
Depends on what else you do for her, I think. I don't know. Do you cook much?
No.
Oh, then, what's the point then?
Right.
Did you buy her some flowers?
No. Probably should have, though, huh? Right?
Oh, damn, you got a good deal then.
I think this year I got by pretty good, but I don't know. I haven't been in the house yet today, so maybe I'm going to be in the hot seat. I don't know.
We'll see how many beers we have tonight.
Right.
How about you? You make through the Valentine's Day holiday without any scars?
Yeah. My wife said she wanted a spicy pizza for Valentine's Day, so we ordered one up.
Nice.
Low maintenance.
And my wife does home care. She's got a small home care business, and she has one employee, but right now they're kind of splitting full-time care for this lady. So my wife will go in and work for a 24-hour shift, and sometimes she has a couple days in a row. So then she'll get a couple days off. And she really got burnt out. The lady has Alzheimer's, dementia, and very kind of demanding when she's there. So she got off of a 2-week period where she only had 72 hours off, and that started on Friday. So she really spent 2 days recovering, and then we had Sunday, and then she went back to work this morning. So I told her I was going to cook, and I told her, make a grocery list. I'll go to the store, do all your stuff for you today. You don't have to do nothing. You can stay in your PJs. And I got the list at 7:30 at night. So by the time I got dinner cooked, it was almost 9:30 last night. But hey, I got a card still, and she put the money that she was going to, I told her earlier too this year, I said, I need a new shotgun. Don't buy me anything like birthday, Valentine's Day, Christmas. No, one gift this year. I want a new side-by-side shotgun, and it's going to be expensive. I'm going to kick some money in, but you need to save every damn penny. Mm-hmm. So she literally didn't buy me anything for Valentine's. I'm expecting, I don't know, my wife grew up kind of poor, and so she's got this habit of going to Dollar Tree for how well,
it works, right?
Well, and she wants to buy the balloons and things. She spends $15 tops, but I was expecting some of the Dollar Tree stuff for Valentine. Nothing. Did you put that money in that envelope for that shotgun? Yep, that's what you told me to do. I'm like, perfect. The only thing that didn't pan out was Amazon was late in a delivery, so I got a little bit scolded because the Valentine's Day gift didn't show up till today. So
my wife comes from a dairy farm, Shakopee, so she gets it, right?
Yeah,
it's just kind of one of those deals. It's kind of a whatever Hallmark holiday or whatever. So we've been together for quite a while, so she kind of understands. Maybe that's the right way to put it, but we just kind of go with the flow. The kids get us caught up in a lot of day to day and all that, but.
Yep. Yeah, just wait till you get into sports.
Right.
I hope you're putting away money.
Trying.
College and sports, man, in high school sports, just that was just unbelievable how much that cost. And I quit paying for school 2 years ago, so I mean, there's what's all in the last 7 years. It was like $400 just to play lacrosse. That was before any, outside training and all the other shit they do around here. It's unreal.
Right.
What the hell happened to high school sports?
No, when I was in high school, you just played 3 sports by default because you only had 40 kids in your grade.
Yeah.
Just goes, if we're going to have a football team, you guys all got to play.
Well, you're from southern Minnesota.
Shakopee.
Yeah, so you get pretty big school.
It wasn't then. But
No, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we were horrible in football, but we played. But the entrance fee to get into football was $90, and that got you that was the whole year.
Yeah.
You had to buy some.
It's like
cleats and whatever. But
I went to private school, and so it was in a fairly decent sized town, but we only had like 100 kids in our graduating class, and yeah, we played 3 sports just to fill teams, and we dropped wrestling because we couldn't fill a wrestling team, and you got a little frown from the football coach if you didn't make the weight room, but if you were any good, you still started both ways for varsity. It's just it's different now. I definitely, I don't know. That's why I gravitate more and more to the outdoors now. I've said before, animals and trees are a hell of a lot nicer than some people. So
it's a low bar.
It's a pretty low bar. Yeah. I don't know, man. Everybody's so into me these days, and it's kind of lost a little bit of empathy towards other people. It seems like, especially with COVID now, I think everybody's just kind of been a little bit put on their rockers and not necessarily sure what their future is, which drives to fear, which drives me. Yeah, it's just kind of a weird time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what, you guys go anywhere this past season? You do any big hunts? You got young ones. You were kind of complaining about not getting out. Did you get out?
I mean, I got out. My dad and I went up to Royalton, and we tagged out.
Nice. So you're eating venison.
Yeah, nothing great big monster story or anything to write home about, but it was a successful hunt and put some venison in the freezer, so life's good.
Hey man, if I had all these big extravagant hunting stories about killing all these big animals, or limits of birds or limits of fish, man, you'd be fooling yourself.
Right.
You would be fooling yourself. It just don't come that easy. Don't kid yourself about what you see on TV.
Right.
Somebody's doing the grind, whether or not it's Hank Shaw or whoever the hell, but they're hiring somebody to do the grind who's out there, and it's still hunting wild animals or fishing wild animals. It's never guaranteed.
Absolutely.
And I thought I had it in the bag this season. First year in quite a while I didn't tag a deer, and part of that was my own pride, and part of that was when I finally lowered my own bar, it got pretty slim. I made a crap shot with a muzzleloader too. I love the season and I love the concept, but I'm just not comfortable with the firearms. I got 3 of them, and I'm still not comfortable with any of them. And I don't know. Bought one set up for elk hunting, never got to pull the trigger. Got one given to me, and I had another junker that was laying around at hunting camp when we sold that piece of property. So I've shot all 3 of them, and I can hit them. I can hit paper, no problem. I don't know. After you leave that powder in for a day, something changes. It's strange. You guys ever hunt with muzzleloader?
Never have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We usually
You go out west?
No, I never have.
Around here?
Around here,
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys discharge them every day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just shoot them in a stump. Mine's
Use
old.
pellet powder?
No.
Well, dry powder, loose powder.
Yeah.
That was my biggest change in the last 2 years, and I've just seen goofy stuff ever since then. And I'm very meticulous on how much I put in.
Yep.
But it seems like any time that powder sits for 24 hours, it does something different.
They definitely seem a little more finicky. You got to try. Like, one of mine likes power belts, and I know some people like them, some people don't, and then the other one won't shoot them at all.
I know
like
that. Yep.
Paper plate won't be on a paper plate at 100 yards. So.
I was shooting these Federal Shockwave, I think they were, because they had to be Colorado legal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I set everything up. I was going to shoot these Thor bullets. They were like $50, copper. I couldn't get the damn things in the barrel. I spent $150. And finally I called them. I'm like, I can't get any of these things to work. Okay, send them back. We'll give you your money back. They were really cool about it, but I went to those Federal after kind of scrambling last minute, and they shot great on paper. And first animal I went to plug, I hit a, I don't know, less than a half-inch oak branch. And I would have figured a 50 caliber, I wouldn't have done anything at 35 yards. I guess I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Animal, no blood trail, no nothing, didn't hit him. So that was my last chance at meat this past season. And they extended our bow season over in the county I'm in over there and end of January. I'm like, they don't want any deer left over here. Yeah, it give me, if I buy a patron's license, it gives me $1, or a gun and bow license. Give me $1 for each season, so I get 2, and then I get 4 or 5 doe tags spread out over the course of whatever season I want. I can kill like 7 deer.
Wow.
It's unreal. They're there, but they're not there like they used to be, and I don't know. It's a whole racket with the insurance companies as far as I'm concerned. They don't want them out there. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough hunters, though. Well, let's do a minute here on Steelhead Outdoors. Just give the listeners a quick introduction, and then we got to take a quick little break for an ad slot. So, what's the skinny on Steelhead? When did you guys started a while ago, but kind of went fully operational here recently?
Yeah, so we launched in 2016. We Charlie and I both had kids on the ground, or soon to be on the ground. Our wives were getting after us on leaving our guns laying around the house, in the glass cabinet, in the closet. So we said, well, let's go gun safe shopping. So we went one night, bumming around the local sporting goods stores, and we just got the conclusion. We asked the guys, well, how do you move them? Well, we have guys that do that. Well, how much does that cost? We didn't have any money. So we started researching, and it seemed like all the gun safes that are, real nice, real heavy duty, they're really difficult to move. All the ones that are light enough to move are really don't offer a ton of protection. So started researching, and there's a couple other people made safes that take apart, but there wasn't one that's made in America and had a high amount of options and security features and fire insulation. So our whole life, we've always just built stuff. If someone didn't make it, the right
we built it.
Car,
that's just how it was. Yeah. That's how we grew up.
You didn't even ask. You just go, well, if we want that, you can't find it, you just make one. So in 2016, me and Charlie
hence why you guys ended up as engineers by trade.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. and race car drivers and whatnot.
Yeah, well, yeah, that helps too. Yeah. You got to put things back together after you break them up on the track.
Yeah. So in 2016, we said, it's just a steel box. We should be able to be selling these by this time next year. And then we didn't launch for sale until 2020. So what we thought would be a 1-year project was a 4-year project. But, insert kids, insert day job, insert hunting season,
Anytime in product development, training somebody, bringing somebody on board, like fully operational, incorporated into your company, I don't care what you say. 1-year process, bullshit. It's a 3-year process, if you're lucky.
But we started on the opposite end of the spectrum. The first safe we built weighed 1,200 pounds, and all the panels weighed like 300 pounds. And it would have had to cost twice as much as the ones we sell now. We thought, well, if the main goal was for 2 people to be able to move this thing, it takes 4 people to move each panel, and it's not really that feasible. So, we wrecked a lot of safes. We burned safes. We tried to pry into safes, threw parts in the scrap bin, and started over a bunch of times.
You got a pretty one out front, though.
Yeah, the safe we have out front was one of our burn test ones that we did our initial test on with the fire rating.
Is that did you guys burn off powder coat on that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was completed safe, and did our fire test, and it's just cool. We couldn't throw that in the scrap bin. So
no, it's a great
out front. It goes.
It's great. So, it's a great front door piece. Who are
absolutely, you?
Absolutely, yeah. It shows really well. So, anyways.
So yeah, we
you got launched in 2020. It took you 4 years to kind of fully product develop, but you came out of that with
I mean, it took us 4 years design, develop, repeat, right?
Oh yeah, it's I guess we're probably kind of jumping a little bit fast for people who and excuse me, I come out of product development and in that space. So I look at that and go, yeah, it's feasible. I can see that, especially given that, you guys are starting working in the evenings, doing day jobs and kids. I mean, it drags. It definitely drags. There's only so much you go around.
Right.
But you came out of that with a fully functional product that is modular in its sense.
Yep.
And you got patent that you're seeking currently.
Yep.
And really, I truly believe that you guys are in a space that is unlike anybody else. Like you said, there's a couple people that overseas, but this kind of product, the people who are buying it, I think American made means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and that's the big thing. It's 100% American made right here in Minnesota, start to finish. We control our own destiny, which is a lot of fun, and it's a lot of heartache at the same time. But, we're working hard with a good group of guys, and if you look at the overall quality of the product, I mean, it's just it's unlike a lot of the other products on the market, and that's what we set out to be.
Well, and it's exactly why I reached out to you guys. We were talking about the Professional Outdoor Media Association, trying to figure out exactly how I found you guys, and I remember going through the list of who all these companies were that were part of this, and you guys were the one company out of the whole professional that is part of that association that stood out to me, that holy cow, this is something different. You see the tweaks on things, you see, new products out or whatever, but you don't see ones that stand out as holy cow, this is innovative and I want one. And you kind of hit that higher end market as well. That it's very appealing to somebody who wants a high end safe, I think, because like it says your slogan, life takes you in many places, why not have a safe that you can take along with you? And it's like I was just telling you earlier when I came in, I had a safe from my uncle that I would have loved to take, but I couldn't transport it, didn't want to deal with it, knew that I wasn't going to stay in my house. Like I haven't bought a safe because I'm looking at maybe selling, maybe renting my house. Like I'm in this window of kind of a 3-year period where we're going to build. And I kind of want one of those, vault doors when I build.
Right.
I mean, that's what the, safe room / gun room sounds really appealing to me if I control, the build process. So we might have to talk about a little bit of that afterwards.
Right.
But, so I think looking at your product and being so kind of unique and different, kind of your direct-to-consumer sales approach currently, I'm really excited to get the opportunity to come in here and talk to you guys at the stage you guys are, because I think 5 years from now, you're going to be looking back going, you'll be in a nice big building, a few more. You guys will be working full-time in the business. I can definitely see it in your product, the passion you guys have for it, and I can see the future in it. Just
me too, absolutely.
Well, I'm sure you guys got the vision, but
we're living it. Yeah.
As somebody new just walking in here, I can see it, and I hope that extends as a compliment to you guys, because I've toured probably 100 different Fortune 500 companies in manufacturing over the last couple of years, and you don't see companies that have $1 million lines that have as nice looking products as you guys have. There's a lot of care that I can tell goes into these safes.
Yeah.
When you're spending that kind of money, I mean, somebody wants something that aesthetically looks good as well, and they're sharp. So we're gonna take a small 5-minute break. And we are back. Quick bathroom break and refresh the Coors Light around the table here. Gentlemen, thanks again. I appreciate the beer.
Thanks for coming.
Love having you.
It's been fun. I kind of feel bad for the folks at the podcast. I think we've had some good conversation offline. Let's dive in a little bit more on Steelhead. Who wants to kind of give the listeners?
I just got one thing I think we didn't touch on. So
we missed something.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So just take a step back. So we kind of like toss this around a lot because it's just like commonplace to us. Modular safes, right? The idea of a modular safe. We talked a little bit about moving safes. We talked a little bit about our safes are modular. What that means, I think we didn't really get into that.
Well,
right?
and that's part of what I really wanted to get into in this second half or next segment.
Yeah. So essentially what that means is that instead of getting a safe, 600-pound safe in one box, you get it in 5 boxes. And you get it in 6 panels. And the heaviest panels, the door weighs 170 pounds. It's heavy with 2 guys, but very, very manageable. And that saves you from moving companies, stair movers.
What's the average? What's the small one? 26?
Nomad model 26.
Is that 26 gun?
No, it's the width.
It's the width.
Yep. So the gun ratings are kind of like, they're kind of wild. Some companies will call that like a 40 gun safe, and some companies would call it a 12 gun safe. Just like, you can.
We call it neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because do you have scopes?
Right.
Or what kind of guns do you have?
I've got a 12 gun cabinet that I can cram 15 in. Yeah. It depends on how you store your guns.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of variables. And when you have the manufacturers arbitrarily putting a number on that they feel is the right number, you're going to have that variance.
Yep.
So the 26 inches wide.
Yep.
Okay.
Some of the companies have started doing them by like cubic feet, and we thought like, well, that's confusing for most people. Like I don't think in cubic feet, so
no, I don't.
So we just go, how wide is it? And
but look at it, say how many guns can I get in it roughly? And depending on handguns, scopes, shotguns, whatever they are. An AR takes up a hell of a lot more room than my side by side shotguns. It just flat out does.
Correct.
So the big thing, modular safe. So what does modular really mean? Okay, well it's just take apart, right? It's each panel's its own panel, so it ships to you flat on a pallet, and you move each piece in independently, right? So the left side is its own piece. You bring that in, upstairs, downstairs, wherever you want it, okay? The back, the right side, right? Every panel, you pick it up and you move it in. And then when you get it all there,
you're pre-assembling these things, or you guys are pre-assembling the panels here, ship them on a pallet. The customer does the final assembly in the location of where they want that safe.
Yep.
Correct.
So they'll take the panels in, and you've got the door, you got the left side, the right side, the back, and then you got the two, the top and the bottom.
Yep.
And how does that go together on site? Because I know people, we're trying to describe this. We don't have any tools to, people aren't watching a video to see.
Right.
So give them a little bit of a description on how guy, gets his buddy over here, he got this safe. Are they bolting this thing together?
Absolutely, yeah. They're bolting it together like a button head bolt, 5/16, 18 button head bolt. We give you an Allen wrench so you can assemble it, right? You put all the bolts together from the inside.
Yep.
Right?
Okay.
So all the hardware is done from the inside. In other words, in order to take it back apart,
you got to be on the inside.
You got to be on the inside,
Yep.
right?
With the exception of the door. Some people can't wrap their head around this. We had a TikTok video that went, I'll say like maybe semi-viral, 250,000 views or something. And
it's a hell of a lot more than I've ever had.
Yeah. It's kind of, we should make more TikToks. That was our first and only one. But the most common comment was, I watched him bolt the door on. I'm just going to unbolt it and be in the safe. But the way the door works is there's a natural swinging motion that happens with the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hinges are on one side. So it swings. It doesn't go straight in.
Yeah.
So when it swings, you can put like a big hook behind the door. So, or lock bolts or whatever you want. So we have this big piece of angle iron behind the door that the natural swinging motion puts that around the corner of the door jamb.
Sure.
And in order to get the door on or off, you have to open the non-hinge side like 25, 30 degrees.
Oh, sure.
And you slide the door out.
This isn't something that we like designed and developed. That's style, right?
Yeah, the door, on a safe, you have a kind of a flange on the outside, and then that door actually is recessed into the panels.
Our safes, the doors are recessed, right? Which helps a lot with the pry attacks and whatnot. But that actual the dead
bar.
The dead bar side of the door, they've been using that in vaults and that's just that's common practice. So we utilize that technology that's already out there, put that on the back side of the door. People can unbolt the hinges all you want. Go for it.
Well, there's external hinges on tons of safes. Yeah. And that's why I tell people, I go, there's external hinges on tons of safes, very expensive safes, very high security safes, and the hinges are held on with 1 inch of weld. So like, if you think that 1 inch of weld is the only thing keeping, a would-be burglar out of your safe, it doesn't take that much longer to pound off that than take 4 bolts out. So we just made the hinges bolt on because it makes assembly so much easier when you'd have to put the door on yourself.
Well, yeah.
On the average safe, it doesn't matter. You're getting an assembly, trying to wrestle it in your basement.
No, it's hard for people to visualize this when we're talking about it, but, you think of just your standard kind of, I think it might, like my gate, my Outback, we've got a little piece of wood that we've used as a lock on that. So it folds down, the gate recesses into, and we use the backside of the wood panel as where that piece of wood that spins sits and locks. It's the same kind of concept. You can't swing that gate open. You could pull it open and, take it out of the parameters that you can't do with a steel safe. I mean, I can kind of bend wood on a fence to a certain degree and get the damn thing off, but it's not coming off unless you have that latch open. And then too, I sawed off, the tops of the bolts so nobody could mess with it. As a whole nother story, it was not done intentionally.
So, I think that's the big part with us that, trying to explain what modular is. Right?
Yeah.
But, it's
well, and I think too, sorry to cut you off, but once that full understanding of what modular means to somebody, now all of a sudden you've got other questions and kind of concerns, I think, that would naturally lead to people going, okay, well, if this thing's modular, how secure is it?
Right.
And we talked about the bolts, but, people buy safes to hold documents, jewelry, more other things than just firearms. So they look at, kind of some of these bigger safes as important document stores. So they're looking for that fire retardant. And I think inherently you're thinking, well, how's this thing fire retardant if it's got a panel? There's a gap at some point. Can you guys how'd you stumble onto getting this to pass what you guys felt were the metrics to be able to fire rate it?
Yep.
Given the paradigm of kind of a traditional safe versus what you guys are doing today.
Yep. So kind of along the same vein as we talked about the hinges, where we just want to take a step back and say, instead of just doing this how the industry does it, let's ask questions like, why are we doing it the way we're doing it? So the fireproofing was the same way.
You guys are avoiding the death of all business. Why have you done it? Why are you doing it that way? Because we've always done it that way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the biggest capitulation for creativity within a business.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome to hear.
So like a traditional, we'll say a normal gun safe is an outer layer of steel, and then anywhere between 1 and 4 or 5 layers of drywall, sheetrock, fireboard.
It's that, and that's what it is typically.
Yep.
sheetrock.
Yeah.
And then most of the time the cardboard's glued right onto that. Not the cardboard. The carpet is glued right onto that. And then that's it. That's your safe.
So there's typically not a metal panel in the back of those?
No.
Okay.
Some of the really high-end ones, so some of the companies they'll say they're concrete lined, and those are the best ones for fire protection. They have an inner liner, an outer liner. They pour the inside with concrete through a hole. Those are the best because when fire comes in there, it evaporates the steam out the hole on the outside of the safe and it goes outside. The ones where they're welded with drywall on the inside, all that moisture is left to interact with your inside of your safe. Whether that's normal everyday use or that's in a fire, all that steam goes somewhere.
So that was another question. Remind me before we wrap up about the whole moisture thing.
Yep. So we saw that as a drawback, right? So like I talked about, our first one we built was way too heavy to move.
Yeah.
That one was filled with concrete, right? We built one that was filled with concrete, couldn't move it. So it's a great way to build a safe, but it doesn't solve one of the problems that we're trying to solve.
Sounds fun. Moving preformed. I did concrete walls when I was younger. As a kid in the summer, I hauled 80-pound, 90-pound concrete forms over 8-foot walls. I don't want anything to do with anything concrete filled. So
So we said, okay, concrete panels are too heavy for the way our safes are to be designed to be used. We don't want to have drywall on the inside because of those drawbacks we talked about. So what's left? So we started researching what's left, and the material we settled on is a ceramic blanket material. That's actually between those two panels. So instead of having it be outer wall insulation carpet, ours goes outer wall ceramic insulation, full inner metal wall.
Yep.
And then the insulation is between.
Yep.
And what that does is it's lighter, so two people can carry it. It doesn't trap any moisture at all from the manufacturing process or from day-to-day use.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have the carpet in there to trap stink, moisture.
Yeah. There's no flammable contents in there, right?
Yeah.
So these guys, a lot of these guys are taking carpet, right, and you're gluing it on. Well, that's at some point that just ignites, right? It's flammable. Well,
how hot is a standard house fire? Well, do you guys know what temperatures they get up to?
Yeah, 12 to 1500 degrees.
Yeah, well, what point does stuff start to go on fire inside the safe? It's combustible.
Yep.
I mean, if the safe itself gets hot enough.
Yeah, paper's like around 451, like the old book,
Mm-hmm.
Fahrenheit 451, but most stuff becomes damaged beyond repair at 350 or 400.
Mm-hmm.
So we just took a different approach at it.
Yeah.
Let's keep the moisture out of it. Let's reduce the flammable contents within the safe, right? So that's where we went with the whole package, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
with the composite panel, right? You got the steel outer liner, the insulation,
And the whole interior is metal. The shelf brackets, the shelves,
everything.
the floor, the walls, everything.
I told you earlier, it's sharp. I mean, it shows. It shows that you guys have spent a number of hours going through this thing.
Absolutely.
But so backpedaling or circling back to rating when you talked about like how do you test them. So we test our safes in an independent test facility in Minnesota here. Put two safes in an oven, open flame oven at 1200 degrees with 5 thermocouples in each safe from top to bottom, and then run the tests until any of them get to 350. So safe was totally empty. So we learned that there's no agency that governs these tests. UL has one test. It's called 72. And
you're probably getting a little bit more technical than most. I mean, seriously, you and I, we can talk UL all day long.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand what necessarily that little UL on their electronic devices or lamp, what that actually states.
Yeah.
And it's a governing body that sets standards for testing and compliance, so that anybody who's got an electronic device, it meets certain. So they don't start on fire, they don't give you radiation, all these other things. So there is no governing body that does fire ratings
for gun safes.
Yep.
The small safes.
And that's what it is. It's specifically a gap in that gun safe space.
Yep.
Because I know there's fire ratings. I mean, they have to test.
Yep.
How do they get fire rated drywall? I mean, they have to test that. There's somebody that has to stamp that approval. So let's just say your standard gun safe down at Cabela's, the specifications that a listener might read on the outside of that, and it says, certain X amount of burn time that's the manufacturer's test that they did. There's no governing body. So again, back with the how many guns can you squeeze in it?
Mm-hmm.
It's very much variable and dependent on what the manufacturer did for testing and then what they're actually publishing.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have to kind of build, and that kind of sucks as a new manufacturer. How do we test this thing? You have to build a test protocol then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How long did that take?
It took a while. We worked hard at it, and we want to make sure that we're honest. We're real people here.
You guys are Minnesotans.
Right. We're not going to snowball you until you can fit
You ain't from Chicago.
200
I'm sorry.
guns.
I'm sorry.
You can't fit
in my
200 guns in
industry,
a
man,
safe.
like a guy from Chicago that had a big old gold chain that shows up at the manufacturing office and says, I'm the sales guy. Bad impression. So, yeah, I'm not saying everybody from Chicago is bad, but yeah, I know it. So how important is it to you guys, though, and how different is that from the industry to have these metrics that people understand? And you said you're honest.
Yeah, I think it varies a lot from manufacturer to manufacturer.
I would imagine.
If you do some digging, there's a lot of manufacturers that shoot real straight and are real honest, and then there's the opposite end of that. So when we got done with our fire testing, we have an article on our website. It's called, what's it called? It says, what's the fire rating of your safe? It's in the frequently asked questions. It's like, I don't even know how many words it is. It's a few pages if you print it out. And it just goes through step by step how we tested, why we chose to do what we did. You know, it talks about, like we said, that if money and weight is no concern, that concrete filled safe is a great option. But for most people, it's not a feasible solution, whether it's space or weight or cost concerns. So we went through all of our testing, and a little over 30 minutes, the first thermocouple was over 350 degrees. So we said, that's it. That's empty safe, no contents to bring the thermal mass up, no moisture inside the safe, no moisture trapping.
Basically, worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And so that's what we published. And we're always trying to make improvements to that, right? Trying to think about new ways to skin the cat. So
what when a customer might come to you and they're looking at safes, and we talked about the tractor supply gun cabinet earlier, and probably not the right customer for you guys, given that you can't really compare apples to apples there. There's just not. It's like comparing a Maserati to, a 1979 Ford Pinto. I mean, they don't even. It's like comparing a Tesla to a gas-powered engine. It really just they're hard to draw direct parallels. When you got a guy who's looking to spend this kind of money on a safe, and he sees that your safe is modular, there's a perception there that these environmental conditions could potentially, moisture. I was going to bring this up later, but we can touch it now. You guys don't have an environmentally sealed, and neither do any gun safe for that matter, really. But one might lend to believe that less moisture, up and down temperature swings, could wreak havoc on contents of the safe, given a traditional construction versus your panels. Have you guys seen any drawback from storing things that maybe, like, basements go through wild swings? I know my gun cabinet, which is a cabinet, I haven't oiled my guns up, and all of a sudden I'll come back and I got rust on something. So have you guys heard any customer feedback related to that?
No. I mean, at the end of the day, the best security and the best place for your safe, right, is in a climate-controlled area that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you go to the big box store and you buy the biggest safe you possibly can, a lot of guys, their safes end up in the garage, okay?
Just can't get them in the house.
Can't get them in the house. Too big, right? So
first place mine would go.
But first place it's going to get broken into. First place going to start on fire. Wild swings in temperature. So at the end of the day, if you took one of our safes, okay, and you're able to put it in a upstairs, downstairs, in a, where nobody knows where it is, more secure, less swings in temperature, okay, you've already won.
Yep.
Straight up. So I think that that's a big thing that a lot of people really don't consider when they go to the big box store and buy you want to buy the biggest safe.
Mm-hmm.
Why won't you? Right? I mean, if you're building a brand new house, you want a 2-stall garage or a 3-stall. Well,
I want a 4.
I'll take a 4, right? Exactly.
So the other thing is that a lot of stuff doesn't get damaged by outside moisture. It gets damaged by the moisture that's actually created from the fire safe.
Really?
From that.
How big of an issue is that in the industry?
I mean, if you do some Google searching, it seems like it's
do you guys feel
prevalent.
it's a pretty big issue?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I look at an entire industry that's based off that with all the anode rods and
the
dehumidifiers and stuff like that.
I hang damp red in my safes. I mean,
Why?
Why? Because if I don't, I get I get moisture on my guns.
What I tell people to do is buy a humidity meter.
Not.
They're like $9.
Yep.
So I have one on a magnet on the outside of my safe and one on the inside, and it's eye-opening.
Do you see differences in humidity?
No, not with our safes.
No,
but we've had customers tell us they do with other safes.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I mean, go put a Pepsi bottle out in the sun. I mean,
Right.
you see the condensation build inside the bottle.
Well, the moisture in most safes actually comes from the drywall being in such a confined space.
Yeah.
So when they cast it, it has lots of water that gets trapped, And that's what creates fire protection from fireboard, is it has to evaporate all that water while it's heating up the box.
Sure.
But that water slowly will give off its moisture over time.
Yeah.
Really slowly, but in a confined space, it's enough to build up. Some of the really big manufacturers tell you should open it every couple of days,
requiring the need for those.
For dehumidification.
Really?
Yeah.
So if I go out and spend $1,600 on a huge safe, I'm going to read in that owner's manual that they're going to say open this thing up
sometimes
on a regular basis to dehumidify it, more or less. They might word it nicely, the lawyers have gotten to it,
They might recommend you buy their dehumidifier.
Yeah.
But if you check the humidity in your basement, it's good to store your guns on a shelf. It's good in our safe.
Mm-hmm. So there's an advantage there.
Correct.
And people, I think would look at it inherently and potentially lean towards drawback. Mm-hmm. So that's really, I would have never guessed that coming in here today. So that's kind of unique.
Yeah.
So you guys are in the process of seeking a patent. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we can a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious. I think that's always a differentiating factor.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we applied for a patent. It's got to be a while ago, huh?
2.5 years ago.
How fun's that process?
It's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Did you guys hire attorneys for that?
Yeah, we had to.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean,
so yeah, right now,
how depth did you, is it an attorney heavy process? Because they cost a ridiculous amount per hour.
Yeah, I mean, so young company, right? Trying to cut our teeth, but we go, this is something special. This is unique. We're gonna do it. So right now we're currently patent pending, right? We're waiting on the government, if you will. So,
government to get off their ass and give you the stamp of approval after you've paid them a ridiculous amount of money to review it.
So,
hey,
yeah, I mean, we're there. Right? So life's good, right? And that's on our fire insulation style.
Okay.
And the unitized panel, and we're working hard at it. But it's working, right?
So the patent itself is, if a customer was looking at your beer there, try not to make it echo off the metal panel. That's our table here today. Mm-hmm. If a customer's looking at the safe, and how would they be able to differentiate the patent? They wouldn't see it. Is kind of my point, right? It's in between your exterior metal wall and the interior metal wall.
Yeah. So the kind of like we talked about before, like everything we use in our safes is all been used in different methods before, right? So the specific patent is on the combination of like our outer wall construction and our panels being completely unitized. So when you get the safe, the panels are pre-constructed. There's an outer wall, inner wall, and the insulation between. But also our inner panels have a reflective coating on the side that faces out.
Okay.
To be like a radiant heat barrier.
Yep.
And that combination of all that is a really, really good, like we talked about, everything in life's a compromise, a balancing act. Yep. It's a really good balance of portability, security, and fire protection.
Is that you said it's a heat reflective layer. Mm-hmm. Is that painted on?
No, it's in the metal manufacturing process.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, and I mean, we didn't invent all these unique items, but
your way you're putting them together is unique. Yeah. I know a couple guys out in Litchfield that are doing the same thing in the fish house industry. Just why are we building these fish houses like RVs? They're not RVs, and they went about it a different way. It sounds very, very similar to how you guys are doing it. So what do you got on the short list of things coming up that you can share?
We got vault doors are new.
Yeah.
Yep. We're selling those now on the website. There'll be outswing models coming up in the next couple months. In swing's a little bit preferred if it's a room you plan to spend time inside. It's like a storm shelter situation.
Yeah.
Something can't fall out in front of it and block you in.
Yeah.
But it does take up space, so outswings are preferred, like in kind of oversized
look
closets.
At in-swing for me, because it will double as a storm shelter probably. Because I'm not building a basement.
Yep.
I don't want another freaking basement for the rest of my life.
That's why we did in-swing first. Mm-hmm. And they're usually like a little more complex. So we're doing outswing next. Also have small safes coming out.
Who are you finding to be customers on vault doors? Like, what is it who's the guy that is considering buying one of these things?
So here's the thing. We got our 3 Nomad series models, right?
Yep.
We got the 26,
Yeah,
the
we should
32, and
clarify
the
everything for the listeners.
So Nomad, right? The Nomad is, right, take your safe with you.
Yep.
Travel wherever the heck you want to go. So we have our 3 standard sizes, right? The 26 inches wide, 32, then the 38. Now we can do customs. We do them all the time, and that's the fun part. Small, big, awkward, whatever it needs to be. But we get some folks that go, hey, that 38, model 38, Nomad 38 is not big enough for me. Okay, well, we can do a pair of safes next to each other, one left hand, one right hand. That's cool. That's not big enough. So, okay, at what point do we just go, you don't need a safe anymore, man. You need a room. And that's really where the vault doors came in and go, at what point is, you got 2 Model 38 sitting next to each other. If you need something bigger, better than that, we're beyond building you safes here. Let's build a room.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that took off.
So a guy like me wants to build a slab built home.
Mm-hmm.
And want to put in a storm shelter / secure room.
Absolutely.
Such, firearm protection, that type of stuff. Where do you get involved in the process? I mean, are you guys working with like builders kind of, or are these more people who have, again, contacted you and you've kind of converted them from a standard safe into this custom because they haven't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like, you got to have plans to build a room.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't come out of nowhere. You don't naturally progress from buying a safe to building a room.
Right.
So I'm just trying to understand, like, how do you find those types of customers, or how do they find you?
All ends of the spectrum. So we're working with a couple of folks right now where they're building the house, and it's in their plans. They're going to have the concrete guy in. They're going to have this room built in a basement, right?
Yep.
The next guy is doing a remodel, and he's doing this and doing that. So the block guy is going to be there anyway. So let's build a block room.
Yeah.
The next guy goes, hey, I don't want any contractors in my house. Can you build me a whole room out of metal, right? And so it's everything from scratch with just on like a slab on grade. We can do that. We can brand new construction, remodel, right? And we've seen it a little bit of everything.
Well, and you guys are engineers by trade, so where I was kind of going with that is you have the acumen to interface with the builder.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or just the gentleman who doesn't want anybody in his house and wants to, basically work directly with you to construct this thing. Mm-hmm. That's really unique.
Absolutely.
I would say that anybody building custom product like that, to be able to have the acumen to be able to work directly with people to integrate in that fashion in a custom way, it's not easy. You know it. I mean,
and the technology
you're building this
a lot too with FaceTime and that kind of stuff too. So we're there to help. And that's who we are, what we are. But we appreciate that, and it's really our customers are inviting us into their homes, right? Our product is going in their living room. It's a big part of who they are, what they are.
I got the Coors burps here.
There we go.
I think I've seen you guys kind of trying to exhaust a few fumes here. I wanted to find out too from you guys where you are seeing growth in the United States. Are you shipping out of the United States? Where is it? A safe, I look at that as kind of, it's one, back in my manufacturing days, the one thing that I never saw going overseas was big, bulky metal fab. Mm-hmm. It was always done at the shop that was closest, that could handle the work. So I'd look at the same thing kind of in purchasing one of these things. It's big. The shipping costs are expensive. We talked about box stores and that kind of sales marketing channel. So are you guys selling these things regionally more, or are you guys seeing a wide distribution of sales throughout the United States? And kind of I got maybe a listener in California and wants to buy a safe from you. How is the process going to work?
Yep. So we do have like a slightly stronger concentration local because everyone it sort of has some nostalgia to local companies. But
well, and you guys are local, so I mean, the ability to work your local networks is
Yep.
there too. So there's inherently probably going to be a little bit more activity here.
Yep. But having said that, I mean, we've shipped into 37 states now.
Okay.
We're counting down, and we're going to be excited when we get all 50.
You don't have too many left.
Alaska and Hawaii might be hard, but
Hawaii, I'd imagine, would be the hardest.
yeah. But we've been working.
A lot of gun owners in Alaska.
Yeah. Well, not a lot of need for safes in some parts of Alaska.
This is true.
But we've been working.
The safe is the gun in some parts of Alaska.
We've been working with a few folks in Canada, try to see if we can get them there. There's some customs issues there and whatnot, but most of the folks up there end up buying American-made safes or safes that come from America. So we're working on that, but so far we're focused on the United States. But there hasn't been any barriers. Like you said, shipping is not cheap, but most of our customers that come to us, they're looking for something specific that's not found elsewhere on the market.
Well, and that's like I talked about earlier. We were talking comparing fly rods, and buying the high-end Cabela fly rod is nothing like buying a custom-made bamboo fly rod. I mean, it's a totally different sale, totally different feel of the product. And so it's very difficult for somebody who would be, you look at this, I don't buy a truck because I'm worried about gas mileage. Somebody who's buying this type of safe isn't worried about the shipping costs for the most part. Mm-hmm. They're looking at it because they're spending good money on a very higher end safe. So I don't know. Guys that buy $5,000 shotguns usually don't bitch about the shotgun price, or the cost to run the paperwork on the FFL. There's a certain inherent cost to doing business. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of, for being a sales guy in my history, I'm a little bit lacking of a question at this moment. But do we not cover anything that you guys feel is important to listeners to getting to know you guys as a business?
I think the biggest takeaway and the biggest thing that we're trying to do here is just be different. And when I say that, it's what color do you want it? What lock do you want in it? What configuration do you want? We're selling to the end user, okay? We're not going through any middlemen. That allows us to give you the best price, the best customer service, all the way around. So we're here. Shoot us a call. Hop on the website. Check it out. And the big thing is just, like, if you can dream it, Corey and I can build it. That's really the overarching theme. Now, we do have safes in stock, but, the custom project takes us a little bit longer, but and there's always going to be stuff we can't do, right?
Well, and you guys got staged product and different manufacturing process level. So your ability to react, from what I can tell here, is pretty nimble.
Absolutely. It's just the custom stuff, I think, is the biggest thing, is that, a lot of times you go look at safes and you either get the black one or the black one. So that's, we're trying to be different with that, right? And it's a lot easier, at least in my household, that, hey, if it fits the wife's decor in the family room, then there's a chance I might be able to get a safe in the family room.
Yeah.
So.
Or just get a safe.
Right. I don't care what the outside color is, to be honest with you. Is it going to do what it needs to do? And so we've had quite a few customers that what do you mean? You have 350 or 800 colors or whatever we have now, right, to pick from. And so that's really the differentiator. It's, what are you doing with it? Where's it going? How can we help you?
Yeah.
So, and then at the end of the day, I mean, we started our company because we wanted to keep our family safe. And we tell people, like, you should do that. And if our safe's the right way for you to do that, that's awesome. If it's not, be safe anyways.
Yeah. Well, and it's smart. I mean, you have a very unique, niche-y product, and not everybody's going to be a right fit for that. It's just the bottom line. Mm-hmm. And you're addressing that up front. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than dicking around with somebody who's trying to jam a square peg in a round hole. Honestly, for 16 years in sales, I'd walk in and I'm going, I ain't here to find square pegs and round holes. Mm-hmm. I'm here to find round holes. I got round pegs. Let's talk about that stuff, because that's where I can help you. And it's smart to really be very true to your niche and not try to be a jack of all trades, because you're going to be a master of none.
Yeah, we're just not setting out to compete with those guys that make 18,000 safes a month. That's just not us.
You can't.
No.
I'm just look around. You can't, and nothing against you guys at all, but you're a small business.
Mm-hmm.
Cash flow is something that you guys talk about on a regular basis. That company doesn't really talk about that. You have different animals you are trying to tackle.
Absolutely.
And to be able to stay true to your core values doing that is super impressive. So it's a longer, tougher road, but it'll be more fruitful and bittersweet in the end. I promise you that. So what's a last minute elevator pitch if you had to snag somebody and just give them a quick sales pitch on your safes?
Most of our customers that are happiest, they found us, are ones that have a very specific problem they're trying to solve, or customer knows they got a lot of moves ahead of them.
Sure.
A guy that lived in a condo, and he took his pieces up one at a time up his elevator. He knew he needed a modular safe, so he knew there was 1, 2, or 3 options.
Yep.
And he had a taste for high quality things. Like, I would say our safe's more like a small batch whiskey, and a lot of other safes are like the Jim Beam you get at Total Wine. It's plenty good. It's great, actually, in many cases, but it's just a little different.
Yeah. And it's, what's your flavor?
Mm-hmm.
And I think truly, too, the niche that is so unique, the reason that I gravitated towards it is because of the ability for that guy in the condo to still get a safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll tell you flat out, he's probably not going to get a safe if he knows he's going to move in 6 months.
Correct.
This eliminates that decision. I mean, you're probably not going to want to move this thing regardless in 6 months, but the ability for you to be able to do that exists a hell of a lot easier than with Big Mama.
And that's our number one niche, like you said, and now we're just sort of starting to expand a little bit, like Charlie said, with the vault doors, and look forward to cool stuff that we have coming up. We're learning some cool lessons along the way, and we're going to keep implementing those on new products.
Well, I really hope you guys, as you guys kind of grow, new things happen. You guys, if I'm not in touch with you, you guys get in touch with me. I'd like to, stay in touch as you guys grow here. I mean, I'm kind of excited just sitting here and listening to your story, seeing this stuff, and definitely, I wish you guys the best, and really hope you guys are calling me in a year from now going, dude, we're getting a new building and whatnot. I can see it, and that's why I almost want to say I'm proud of you guys, but I don't know you that well.
We appreciate
I want to know though in a year from now, saying, damn, dude, hey, that's freaking awesome, because this is really cool stuff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Any new products released on 2022? Sorry.
We're working on it. We're working on quite a few new products.
So when should listeners come back around potentially for a little update?
Boy.
3 months, 6 months?
Once a week.
The biggest thing is if you could...
Once a week, man, that's already a captive sell for you guys.
Follow us on social media.
I was going to say, you follow us and you'll be the first to know.
The stories are the little
Okay. Well, that's
what's going on.
Kind of where I was headed with the next question. What is the best medium?
Yeah. I mean, we're probably most active on Instagram, but most of our stuff cross-posts to Facebook. But like all the kind of skunk worksy projects we're working on, you'll get little teasers. Little teasers on Instagram if you follow us.
Right on.
Yep.
So I will include Instagram in the show notes. I'll include your contact information. And I know as just some random podcast guy over here in this Twin Cities, me calling Corey, we spent time chatting on the phone, getting to know each other. So if you treat me like that, I got to imagine your customers getting even better treatment. So the testament to you guys being down to earth and available for people, I'm assuming. So just give a call. I said, if somebody wants a safe, what's the preferred method of getting in touch with you?
Call, email.
Yeah.
Whatever they like best.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Right on. Well, I'm going to take this last sip of this Coors Light that you guys provided me. And if you guys don't have anything else, I think we can kind of call it a night.
Yeah.
It's great.
I really appreciate you guys being part of the show. I thank you again for hosting me, and give me a couple beers too.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Uplnd Outdoors. Follow us on Instagram. Check out our Patreon page. Become a patron for $5 a month. Join your local conservation group. It's annual CRP renewal time. I've got a guest coming up soon. We're going to talk about some of the CRP stuff from Pheasants Forever. Subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you have the auto downloads to get the latest content from Uplnd Outdoors. This is Brian Mays. God bless you. God bless America. I'm out.
Subscribe now.